say. All right, and it looks like we are live. So hey folks, thank y'all for stopping by. I'm Steve, K5ATA, and over. I always get the wrong direction.
I'm the Smoking Ape. I'm a fan of ham radio and ham radio accessories.
And I see you're on the air today, Ape.
I am. There's a little bit of a story there. Is like I was actually playing around with Streamlabs, Streamyard, I think is what it's called. So I'm thinking about doing a live stream here or there.
Ape's gonna stream. Getting real now, but
Well, I figure everybody else is having all the fun. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's definitely a good bit of fun. So it's you never know when crap's gonna break. So keep it simple, stupid. That's the KISS method.
Well, that's what I like about this StreamYard is that it's all cloud based, so I don't have to pull everybody into my computer and then use my computer to broadcast it out. It seems like it's going to
And that's
work well, but who knows? I don't know if anybody's going to watch me, so we'll
well,
figure it
that's
out.
what Ham Radio DX Hayden uses, and I like it. It's pretty cool. We were in his stream whenever that was last week. I don't know. I've slept a minute since then. But I like it. I like some of the features. You can have the little chat things pop up and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. So,
Yeah, there's some limitations to it as well, but we'll figure it out. We'll give it a whirl and we'll see how it goes.
but anyhow, let's go ahead and get the obligatory YouTube stuff out of the way. Links down below for subscribe, like, all that happy stuff. Want to support the Padawans, which I'm going to brag on one of them in a minute. Help us out. There's a Patreon link and some merchandise if you want some cool merch, and the Amazon link that's down there too. Doesn't cost you anything extra, but kind of helps us out a little bit. So start off with bragging, if that's cool with you.
Do it, brother.
So had the first Padawan test this year. Normally by now I've had a group of them test, but we've been all roning it all over the place, and not having kids and stuff as often as I'd like at school. But one of them didn't want to wait. We're actually having a big testing next week. But one of them didn't want to wait, so he came to the club meeting last night and passed it with flying colors. Missed 3 questions, and and he was on cloud 9 when I handed him that Baofeng. It was one of them that K6ARK sent out a box full of them. I feel like he sent them forever ago. Cause
That's awesome. He's in the UV5 Army.
Well, actually, he's in the UV82 Army or whatever that is. It's the little
the Fang Gang, I think is what they
yeah,
call it. The kids call that.
It's the little 8-watt jobber do, and so that was cool. And then even cooler was we test with Laurel, and I'll be the first one to tell you that they're not my favorite VEC, only because of their resistance to doing things online and whatnot. But I will say that they do a great job of, it's all free. The club absorbs the little bit of cost that there is to it, and so there's no cost to them. So Cole, he got his call sign KI5, never make enemies. NME is his call sign.
That's awesome, and I'm not going to hate on any VEs, but if I was going to, I could say a thing or two about Laurel.
So it's everything, I guess, is going to have their pluses and minuses, but the club that I'm a part of, they do a great job with it. And shoot, they're coming out to the school next week to test my kids. They don't have to go in. Speaking of K6ARK, I assume you saw, Adam, that I officially handed out one of those UV82s you sent out, so appreciate it. And so he was a little excited. He's like, well, so do I have to give this back at the end of the year? I'm like, abso-smurfly not, Padawan. This is yours, brother. So,
I got to tell you, the chat is smoking by. I'm having a hard time keeping up. So welcome to everybody, and thanks for posting.
yeah, I meant to go back and do it, but I was a little excited that he got his license. He came into school today with that Fang in his hand, and he's like, all right, you said you're going to teach me how to talk, because his call sign hit this morning. And he's like, so
right.
I taught him how to talk on the radio. He went out, he got to hang out outside and talk on the
You're
repeater to
like,
a few folks.
shepherd the lost sheep, shepherd the lost sheep.
Yeah, I told him he had to, hey, big truck, and stuff like that. Come on over, JB Hunt, and whatnot. But so anyhow, to all of y'all who have helped support us getting them Padawans on the air and everything, appreciate it. The radios are starting to get handed out now, so
It's fantastic, man, and it's a great thing that you're doing. So be proud of that. That is really really cool.
Yep, and he's already started studying for his general. His grandpa's a ham, and his grandpa's tried for a while to get him into it, and never really took. And I got a hold of him and set the hook and started reeling.
Well, you ought to bring old Pop Pop in there for a little Q&A session.
So, well, he might do it. He's a CW guy. He doesn't like.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's one of
that ain't
those.
real ham. Talking on that fang.
He's one of those folks that's like, well, why would I even want a microphone? I say that, but in fact, not too long ago, we activated a POTA thing when I was showing the club how to do Parks on the Air, and we actually forced him to sit down in front with a microphone in his hand to work it for a while, and he's so used to CW, he had to stop and think, okay, hang on, what do I say now? I mean, it's funny, but
Yeah.
he's a great dude. So, and I think he was just about in tears when I handed him that radio, and I was like, "Here you go, man. It's yours. Keep it." So,
So Steve KO4 AFL, he's asking if I worked his POTA activation today, and I did not. I haven't not turned my radio on since Saturday of last week. I haven't hooked up to a new antenna. I might have mentioned this before, and then Saturday my RFI was crippling. And so I was just going to go out and rerun the coax to the old antenna, but I just haven't had a chance to go outside. So I have not done any radio work, for about a week now.
well, now, Steve, you should know if he's in there. I mean, just look for Whiskey for Ape.
Right.
I mean,
Whiskey 48.
yeah, you should know. But I want to take a minute and scroll back up, and because you're right, the chat's kind of flying. I don't know who all we have in here. And Andy likes to be first, and welcome, Andy.
Andy is an expert at that. I don't know how he does it, but they all seem to have Andy first.
So one of these days, I won't post it until like right before it starts. I'll be like, boom, boom, and see if he's still first. But of course, then something will break.
He knows about your live stream before you do.
Yeah, he does. In fact, he probably, sends me subliminal messages. Hey, you forgot to post that link and send it to Ape. Hurry up.
Right.
So, but Dennis in the house, Ken, Red's here, Chuck. We got the whole gang in here today. Terry, G7WRS. I'm not sure. Brooks in the house. Hey, you're not catching us on Team Replay. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's nice to have everybody live, but I mean, like the it is smoking. The chat is just cruising by.
I'm gonna have to skip a few people. It'll take me a day and a half to go through all the folks that are here. So I'll do the ape technique. Thank y'all for being here, man. Welcome. So, and then pointing out apparently I missed Anime is here. Yep, she's here.
Well, Anime's on there, and I saw she posted a video the other day. She's got a new channel trailer up.
I'm gonna have to go check that out. So
I watched it, and there was some CWs in there.
some CWs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to make
Yeah,
a blue teeth CW paddle for you.
Yeah, the Don Army is here, thick as can be. I think we got all three of them.
But so, did you play any radio for Winter Field Day?
I did, and I like I said, I had that new antenna up, and I turned it on, and I was gonna go on there. Like what I noticed is that these contesters here, they want to get off that thing quick. So I was going to get on there and start asking them all kinds of questions, like, "Hey, what kind of antenna are you using, bro? It sounds really good. How do you have it mounted? Do you use rope or twine or what?" And I was going to see how long I could keep them on the air, but I couldn't. The RFI was whatever it was killing me. I put the antenna the way it's mounted is on a different side of the house. And on that side of the house, my wife has a bunch of LED lights, and I think those LED lights are causing me some grief. So I didn't do anything.
I would suggest wire
took it
cutters.
easy.
Wire
You're right.
cutters.
Just
Boom, honey. I don't know
them
what.
damn lights.
She probably never goes over there anyway. She won't notice for 6 months.
She believe me when it comes to those lights. First thing she does is turn them on, and when it starts to get dark, and then she's super duper into them. I'll give it a few weeks, and she won't anymore. They're new.
Oh, okay. I was like, really? Because man, that drive me nuts. So, yeah, we played a little bit. We had to stay at the house for it. I don't guess we had to, but it was pouring rain, and the child unit was having to work it in around her work schedule, and so I was like, well, we'll just chill at the house and do it. So Jerica and I played a little radio, made a few contacts. She enjoyed it. In fact, if you remember the Willet antenna video, I recorded the little girl that was talking to the folks down at Arecibo, and her grandpa worked me that day. So
Nice.
he pulled an ape. He was like, "Hey, let's just chat for a minute." I'm like, "Sounds good to me, brother." And of course,
Right, I want to chew on them rags.
all these people are sitting there going like, "Yeah, I'm waiting my turn." I'm like, "You keep waiting. This is my pile up, bro. I want to talk."
Right, why are you hating on me, son? I'm trying. It's my time to shine.
So, speaking of chewing on rags, so I've got the second gig with the ARRL right now, and I sent an email today, kind of talking about some stuff, and I made a reference to rag chewing, and I put, after all, who doesn't want to? How did I put it? It was something like, who doesn't want to sit on the air talking about your ailments and the weather? And I didn't expect the email to get forwarded on to other folks. I was like,
And they're
oh,
like, why
crap.
you got to be mean?
Man, I'm fixing to get some hate out of that one.
But you need to be more sensitive over there, Steve.
Yeah, I failed cultural sensitivity or rag chewing sensitivity or whatever that class is.
I struggle with this whole sensitivity thing. Like, I don't mean to say things that are insensitive, and I generally don't, right? But like sometimes I might say something that is misinterpreted as me being intolerant, and I don't mean it. And what I tell people is, I'm like, look, you're practicing a methodology of or practice of tolerance, but yet you're intolerant of my intolerance. So that is contradictory, right? Like, shouldn't I get a pass on some of this stuff?
Yeah, I think so. And T.O. says all emails always get forwarded. Well, whatever. I mean, I didn't say anything mean. Well, I guess some people might interpret it as mean, but anyway, it is what it is. So, now, honestly, I'll go ahead and tell you, I have not run into the typical OM 80 meter guy at the league. I can honestly tell you that everybody I've had to interact with, pretty good folks up there, man. It's nice. It's better than some jobs I've had, that's for sure. So,
Well, see, like I might say something like, I'll be like, oh, those chicks over there, or the chick at the play, and they're like, you can't say that, bro.
it's like, where are the chickens?
Or I'm like, I didn't even know that was a bad thing to say. You know what I mean?
It is. I guess
Oh,
depending on
well.
where you are, I'm not going to go there either.
Yeah. Well, I never mean anything by it.
Well, if you didn't mean anything by it, why'd you say it, eh?
Well, that's the problem. It was an accident. Like, it accidentally slipped out. You know what I mean?
Never mind. I'm going to shut up. I was going to say something, but it demonetized me, so I'm just going to shut up.
Well, what I found is that you can ridicule the British in any form or fashion, and you will not get deplatformed for that. You won't get in trouble with HR. Your wife won't get upset with you. That is the one group of people that you can still openly mock and not get in trouble for it.
Jim's in there saying that's where the geezer squad is, complaining about aches, pains, and politics. And I guess I'm getting kind of geezery because my wife bought me one of these, those little shiatsu massage chair things. And I sat in that thing, and after about 10 minutes, I mean, crap was popping and cracking, and I guess I had a few aches and pains in there. So
You're like, let me get my shiatsu on.
yeah, I got to head down to 80 meters now and talk about it. So I can't talk about it here. Got to go down to 80.
Well, my 2 meter local repeater is the same way, where it's a lot of the talk is about doctor's appointments and who is on their deathbed and all that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. I mean, there's good conversation on there too, so I don't want to be too negative about it.
But let's see, Don D, he leaves out politics, but so yeah, I've learned, especially, I'm not sure how to say this in a politically sensitive way.
Here we go.
I teach school, right? And so I'm probably the exception to the rule, politically speaking, to a lot of things. I mean, I guess I don't lean the same direction as them. Anyhow, so I've learned to just avoid politics altogether because they start in on all this. No one should have pew pews and stuff like that, or bang sticks or whatever you want. And don't get me rolling. So
Well, what's tough about it is like where I live, America, there are certain things that you can't even talk about without it turning into a giant conversation where Like literally, we had a red light put in the entrance to our neighborhood, which I was happy about because there's always accidents there where people take a right hand turn and they don't look to see if anybody's coming down the hill, and boom, there's a big accident.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I love the fact that that red light's there, and they're like, that's just another example of the damn government telling you how to drive, putting up laws. And I'm like, are you serious? Or you know what I mean? Like it, like, um, but it's with everything. So,
So where it was like Montana or somewhere that like years ago didn't have a speed limit, and then the feds were like, "Oh no, you got to have a speed limit, or we're not giving you federal highway money or something." So it's like they've got it at like 80 miles an hour or something like that, and of course they never enforce it. So
well, that's the thing is like you have to have these laws because of dumbasses, right? It's like people can't drive safe, so now all of a sudden you have to have speed limits and you have to have all these rules to keep everybody safe because somebody's got to go on and be unsafe.
yeah,
That does drive me bonkers.
hang on, my wife just walked out and she left the dog in here. That's not gonna work out.
You don't want that dog yipping and yelping
Oh
and licking
gosh,
and
it's a little
scratching.
yipper. Come here, stupid. Y'all
Why
can't
don't you
see.
get this dog on camera so we can get a look at this thing?
Look, tell me that's not stupid right there. If she's watching, she knows she left the dog in here right now.
Is that one of them Chihuahuas?
Here's the thing with this dog. Yeah, you're on camera now. You're famous, Stoop, and her name's actually Stupid. Watch this, Stupid. Hey, Stupid. Yeah, hey, Stupid. But she was supposed to be a Yorkie poodle or something like that.
That don't look like a Yorkie
I don't
poodle to
think
me.
so. I'm thinking no. So I'm not sure what happened there, but it sheds like a beast.
We
So
got a tactical Yorkie here, and he's getting up there. I think he's about 14 years old, so he can't hear anymore. So he's losing some of his tactical usefulness.
yeah, I'm gonna mute it real quick so I can holler for her to come get the dog. Hang on.
That's fine.
Hey, honey,
He's muting
the
himself. He's
dog's in
not
here.
muting me. He knows better. So we'll just keep that in mind, folks, as we watch this. But yeah, my Yorkie, he gets up in the morning. The first thing he does is he goes and sits in the window and starts guarding the neighborhood. Any activity that trash truck, mailman, the Amazon fella coming by, there's somebody walking, running, riding a bicycle. He's crazy.
So Jim Greer says Chihuahuas were originally bred for warmth and food, as in like to eat the Chihuahua. There's not a whole lot to eat there. I
Yeah, you
mean,
got to get a dog with a little more meat on it.
yeah, it's. Rhea says cute doggy. I don't know. Did you not look into its eyes? You can't, okay, because its eyes it's kind of flicked. They go two different directions.
I think that's a part mostly Chihuahua type dog.
So I don't know what it is, but I mean it's not a bad dog, I guess. he said my mute didn't mute, bro. Oh well, whatever. So you heard
I
me.
thought it was me. I didn't hear you, but I was running my mouth the whole time, so that might have been what it was.
So maybe who knows, but it's not a horrible dog. I mean, when we take it camping, of course it's stupid, and so I tell it every time I take it for a walk that let's go camping, so that she just associates that with being outside. But your barking got my bosties at
That's funny.
but yeah, that's her dog. Mine's the big half husky, half lab. So
Izzo says he figured I'd have a bulldog with a t-shirt on. So the dog before the tactical Yorkie was a Rottweiler, a big giant dog, and really really good dog, and he was a lot of fun. But I have daughters, and when the Rottweiler passed, we decided to get a smaller, littler dog that was going to be a little bit more daughter friendly. So we ended up with he says you muted Zoom, but not on OBS, so Ape couldn't hear you, but we could.
oh well, whatever. Wrong,
Yeah.
wrong
So,
mute button.
so what happened? What happened was we got the tactical Yorkie, and he's been a fixture ever since.
So, but yeah, so that's not my dog. People in there saying not the dog I expected. That's her dog. So, and hence the reason I didn't want the dog in here. Although I did train it to answer to stupid, which is
Are you in trouble for that, or?
I don't know that I would say I'm in trouble. She doesn't love it, although she's gotten to where she kind of calls her stupid every now and then too. Because it's my daughter and I, we both call her stupid. I mean, to the point of like she even knows I can say, "Hey, stoop," and she's like, huh? It's like, "Yeah, I got you. You're mine." Because her real name's Darcy. Because Cindy's a big Pride and Prejudice fan,
Oh,
and I'm like, no, that's not going to work for me. So I was like, if I got to feed it, it's being called what I call it.
yeah. Mine is he's 9 pounds of fury. Like it's just sometimes like tries to get vicious. And it's funny because like he's at the age now where he doesn't wake up in the morning. So I'm usually the first one up. So I'll let him out back so he can do his business. And I got to wake him up. So I usually just sneak up and, grab him and scare the shit out of him. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. And startle him. And what's funny is that, my daughter's always like, did he choose civility or did he choose violence? Because sometimes when he wakes up, he just gets up and comes, and then other times he'll bite at me and go crazy and all that stuff. But
Yeah, see, so my dog Shadow, like I said, she's half husky, half lab, and she looks like death spawn. I mean, she looks like a shepherd, but she's jet black, and I mean, she just looks meaner, and she can be, I guess. The UPS guy doesn't come past my truck, but I trained her to she meets me every time I pull up, and she stands up to give me a hug. So she's my dog.
Chuck Chuck. I think Chuck might be hating on me. He says, "Ape, did you click that 17-year-old soft skin mode?" I don't know exactly what that means, but I do have a new light.
No, I think he's saying that your complexion looks really good. You must have a new face routine. You've been watching Insta Snapchat tweets or whatever it is that.
Right. I got some new product.
So that's where my kid learns all her new makeup techniques and stuff like that. Which one is it that has the little? I guess they all have the little 30-second video clips of how to do your eyeshadow and.
Well, like my wife had her cousin over, and her nickname is Old Smoky. I'm the one that calls her that because she's on the Marlboros night and day. That girl, and she was going to do some kind of like eye makeup for my wife, and that she learned on the YouTubes, and it did not. It was I was like, they're going to throw you in the skank tank walking around with that kind of makeup on like that. It was a little overdone, I guess.
Yeah, they're over there saying that your lighting is on point, and I think the dude's kind of scoping. Yeah, I don't know.
Everybody.
He's in there going, "Hey, Ape looks good. You better watch out." Just saying, it's those new LED lights your wife put in there.
It's a ring light. I got one of them ring lights, and I put it behind the webcam. So
I guess I might try that. I've looked at them. I need my head doesn't quite have the shine I need it to have. So.
Well, this one's got a bunch of settings on it, and it's got a dimmer and all that. So I'm sure it's going to wreak havoc on the radio. So
it's going to wreak havoc.
Yeah.
So we got to go ahead and point him out before Kyle does, because Kyle's going to have to watch us on Team Replay because he plays tennis.
Is that where he is right now? Is that his tennis match?
Yeah, Wednesday nights is apparently that's his church. So that coffee's out. So moving on. So yep, the Old English shirt on. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, when I was younger, we used to drink the Old English like crazy.
So I would never partake in such sinful behavior.
I mean, I'm a good Christian. I love America. I love Jesus, and I love the Second Amendment. But I used to love drinking Old English, and so we would drink it right down to the label, and then top it off with a little bit of Sunny Delight or Tropicana to get your vitamin C in.
That made it healthy, right?
Well, it's called a Brass Monkey. So we were all Beastie Boys fans, and that was the Brass Monkey drink, and so
that makes sense because you were the Brass Monkey when you're young, and
now
you're the Smoking Ape.
Right,
stayed with the primates. So that makes a lot of sense. So, but yeah, Chuck Kyle apparently, he's got to be a pro tennis player by now. I mean, homie plays some tennis.
Do you think that Kyle wears those like short white shorts and tennis shorts?
Yeah, I think he wears the John McEnroe things. Yeah. The question is, does he throw his tennis racket when he loses a point?
Well, if he acts like he does when he's contesting, I bet he does, because he salts up on them contests, and he got upset with me for saying that. But I'm like, look, son, he was real salty.
So, Anime's in there. So they started as a punk band. The Beastie Boys started as a punk band.
They did, and I'm drawing a blank, which I cannot believe on that, because I actually have all their punk records. I have them actually on vinyl. Jeez, I can't believe. I know I can't believe it. I can't remember what it is right now. I guess I'm getting old.
Yeah, I'm already there. But vinyl's coming back too. I saw a thing where like vinyl sold more than CDs last year, and It's like I'm old enough. I remember when CDs were the new thing, and you
Sure.
know, I wanted to get rid of the cassette player.
Well, it got to the point where like my daughter found my CD collection from college, and she's like, "Dad, what are these?" Because everything that they would listen to was downloadable,
Yeah,
right? It was all e-music, as they say. Um, and then I was a little surprised about that.
and then Napster came around. I, I got all my stuff off of Napster there for a minute
Yeah,
before
I
I
never
got
did.
scared that the feds were coming.
I never did because I was always one of these people that thought that the quality of the Napster stuff or whatever wasn't as good as if you ripped them yourself. And, um, it's just stupid, I guess is the right way to say it.
Uh,
I pulled up the Beastie Boys Wikipedia page because I cannot believe that I cannot remember. Um,
was it anime? Somebody just said. I don't remember. I lost it. Beastie Boys started in '79 when Izzo was in 8th grade. So Izzo, you're not that much older than me, bro.
yeah, so they had a seven. Pollywog Stew was one of their names. They've had gone through a lot of iterations. Um, when they started out. And one of the things I really liked about them is they had the ability to play their own instruments. So a lot of people would always give me a hard time and be like, "You're listening to rap music, son." I was like, actually, they're pretty talented musicians in their own right. Um, but we don't have to. I think we talked about music once before. We don't have to do that again.
Yeah.
but
Oh, dudes in there saying IRC servers were the best for music. Yeah, you could go to the wares and stuff like that and grab all those things from IRC servers and whatnot. You know, now you just well, I guess you can't even go to the Ham Nation IRC chat anymore because it's on Josh's channel.
Josh ruined that for everybody.
Yeah, Josh, it's all your fault, man. There's no more IRC. The hate is
It was
real.
hilarious when he was telling the story about somebody asking him, "Well, like, how am I supposed to get this information?" He's like, "I don't know."
It's like you chat on YouTube. So, but anywho, so what else you been up to?
Well, I know I said I wasn't going to talk anymore about music, but Jim Greer saying that Paul's Boutique is a fantastic album. I believe it's one of the top 10 albums of all time. We don't have to go down that road too much, but incredible production quality on there. The soundtrack's a layer and the creativity. Top 10 record for sure.
So can you sing one of the songs off of that?
Not on camera. No,
Oh,
I'm actually like people don't believe this or like you're so extroverted, and I'm actually really introverted. I'm pretty shy. I'm not going to sing on camera.
yeah. We thought we had him.
Now,
I
at
tried
the
to get
block
him.
party,
I was gonna say I tried to get you doing the dance last time, but
right now at the block party, I might get on the karaoke machine and drop some verses for everybody, but that would be it.
so let's see. Tango Oscar Mike, you put your left foot down, your right foot up, tilt your head back, and finish the cup. That makes no sense to me, bro.
That is from Brass Monkey. So you obviously didn't own License to Ill.
So since we're on the music thing, okay, I listen to heavy metal stuff like that, but I don't actually listen to the word. I don't care what the words say. I'm like, just let me hear the electric guitar and I'm good. And crank it up loud. And in fact, when my wife and I first started dating, I had what was it, Jane's Addiction? I don't remember. I had a CD in my truck, and she's like, looking at the lyrics, she's like, "Do you have any idea what this says?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." I
It's the sin music.
was like, "I don't have a clue what it says. I like the sound of it." She's like, "Okay." And
It's,
it took her a while to realize that I don't care what the music says. It's just the. Now I know that one, Ken. You just don't understand.
so Izzo's asking if I do karaoke, and it has happened a time or two when I got a little sideways on Miller Lite. And the dude's asking if I play any instruments, and I don't. I have a harmonica of all things.
I was
It's
about
probably a
to
little
say
redneck
harmonica.
that I play around with a little bit. But when I was younger, I did play with the guitar a little bit and bass a little bit. But I would not call myself a musician by any stretch.
I tried to play guitar, but I fixed my own pinky when I got it stuck between the guy's toes once, and now it doesn't really bend the way it's supposed to. So I just didn't. I was done. It hurt.
Well, I'm a lefty. I'm a southpaw, and so I was trying to learn to play right, and I just could never get the strumming. Couldn't get the right hand strumming down. So I switched over to a bass guitar, which is a little bit easier, and had fun with it, but it really wasn't my thing too much.
So, no, I can't. I'm tone deaf anyway, so whatever. I can say something sounds good, and everybody else is like,
Son, you don't know.
I don't. So,
So, what you doing? You doing any radio stuff? We kind of took the
yeah, it kind of
conversations.
went sideways. I did a little, like I said, I did a little Winterfield Day stuff. Tinkering around with some stuff. Lately, I've been spending a lot of times plugging some Baofengs into a computer and programming those for some Padawans. So, which is a good thing. I mean, but it's a lot of radios. In fact, somebody just tweeted at me here a minute ago asking if I had plenty of fangs, and it's like, well, I do right now, but I'm fixing to have about 15 or so kids get one next week.
That's
So
like I said earlier, that's fantastic. So I did that firmware upgrade video on the 705, despite you and Jason beating me to the punch. I did it anyway.
yeah, I saw that. That was you did a good job with it though. In fact, that's I told somebody I was like, if it was actually in reference to your G90 video, but
Mm.
the firmware upgrades, and I was like, a buddy of mine, his cousins, uncles, sisters, I don't know, somebody
Right.
texted him saying, he tried to upgrade his G90 firmware, and I was like, ooh. He's
That's a
like,
job.
he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. All I know is that Ape complains about it, and he's like, Ape complains. I was like, yeah. In fact, he may be in here, Curtis, if you're in here. But it's like, yeah, that Ape complains about it. And apparently, it's like easy to brick it or something. I don't know. So I hadn't touched Jericho's because I don't need that hate.
Well, you can break it, but the recovery from the breaking is somewhat easy. But what's difficult about it is just like so they had a release. It was a 715 release, I think, that came out. That when you went to tune up your radio, it tunes your radio in 20 watts. And so the whole time that it's bouncing that SWR up to infinity and everything, you're just cooking your finals. So I think I'm still on 714. I have not turned the G90 on in a while. I gotta check it out. 7 6, I believe, is corrected now. So I gotta take a look at that. But you have to do the base, you have to do the head unit, you have to connect to the machine, you have to use a terminal emulation, then you have to upload a file and you have to execute commands. Like what I was actually scared to do the 705 firmware upgrade, which was really a piece of cake. Of all the things in my life that I've ever done a firmware upgrade on, that was probably the easiest.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I think he did it after I guess seeing a bunch of people doing the 705 videos and how easy that was. Because I mean, that was a piece of cake to do.
Yeah.
And he texted him saying, "Man, I can't get it. Won't go into VFO mode." I'm like, I don't know, man. I ain't touched it. I'm not gonna. As long as it keeps working, I'm not gonna mess with her radio because if I kill it, then bye.
Well, with the G90 is super easy to put an old firmware back on. Well, I mean, not super easy. If you follow the correct process, it's easy to put an old one back on and recover. But like the thing is that you actually have to disconnect all the power from it for 30 seconds, like in between booting it up. And if you leave your cat control cable plugged in and then you turn the radio on, it goes into it'll basically brick it. You need to reflash it. So it was a big learning curve for me because I was constantly reflashing it because I was having all these mess ups where I was accidentally bricking it.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'll just trust you. In fact, I'll mail you Jericho's and you can just have at it. Just mail
I'll
it
just
back.
I'll just email you the firmware update and just download the
If
email
you
on
just
it.
email me the radio, I mean that'd be fine.
Right, it should work.
I'll
Fine.
3D print it. We'll be good to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So the 705 really simple process. I was shocked.
yeah, I was pleased with that. That I guess the day was it the day it dropped or whatever on maybe the day after. Either way, I downloaded it. I was kind of looking. I was like, man, this is gonna be a piece of cake. I expected to have to do some homework before making that video and whatnot. I was like, I mean, it was
Well,
done in no time.
I had on my list of videos, I had the 705 firmware update on my list. And I saw the announcement that the firmware was coming out, but I didn't know it came out. And then so I was, watching YouTube and I saw you did the video. I'm like, damn, good game beat me to the punch. And so I watched your video and I was like, well, I was expecting you were going to have to hook up a USB cable to your computer and you're going to have to write down and I was like, man, that looked really easy. And then I was like, I'm still going to do the video. And then Jason did one, and then I was saying, I don't think I'm going to do it now. But To was like, dude, you need to do the video. It's good for the catalog. Get it done. So I was like,
Good
all
for
right.
the catalog, and you always do a good job with it. You're that RTFM guy. You have the manual up there, and
Right, talking nerd speak. I am a manual nerd. I'm not one of these people who's like, did you read the manual, boy? But I do. I don't know. I don't. Guess I just for being in IT for so long, that's what we do.
I guess I read the manuals on some things. Like I've got a video once I finish putting it together on the that chameleon F loop antenna. I had
Mm.
to RTFM on that one, man. That's a complicated little. I keep in mind I never used a loop antenna anyway, so that was a first right then. And although I'll say I was pretty pleased with it. They are kind of pricey though. Those chameleons are they
Well,
are
and
proud of their stuff.
here's what I want to talk about some things. Like you always get these. I hate the way that hams give advice to new hams, and so I have a video coming out tomorrow specifically about that. But what I didn't talk about in that video was loop antennas. And you always get these people who are new to hams. They're like, "Hey, I live in an apartment and I'm in New York City and I want to get on the air. And what's the best antenna?" And then these know-it-alls come along and they're like, "Son, you need a mag loop. Got to get yourself a mag loop. Doesn't need a lot of space." I'm not hating on mag loops. I've never used one. I don't plan on using one. But what I know is that they require constant adjustment, right? And so most new hams are poking around that band, right? They're trying to find something. They're learning the spectrum. They're doing all this stuff. So that's problem number one. But then problem number two is the queue is so small, right? Your bandwidth on the mag loop is so small. Unless you got that thing sitting right next to your head cooking you while you're sitting there fooling with the adjustment, they're not for me. And I'm not convinced by any stretch. It's starting to get emphatic. I'm not convinced by any stretch of the imagination that is an appropriate antenna for a new ham.
And I would agree because keep in mind I didn't buy that mag loop. That was loaned to me to play with and do a video on. And you are right in that you're constantly having to tweak it. You change free, and I kept it close to me because I was using Jericho 705, so I was like, 5 watts ain't gonna cook me too much. And so, but you're right. I mean, you have to constantly fiddle with it. And now the good news is it's easy to adjust it,
Right.
but the fact is you still have to adjust it nonstop.
Well,
So
well, I mean, the other one is that Steve, you bring a lot of experience to the table, right? So to an experienced ham, it's more of you understand all those concepts and you understand what's going on. You understand bandwidth, you understand resonance, you understand SWR. When you have somebody who's new to radio, who basically doesn't know what antenna they need, and to me, that's a more complex antenna.
yeah, I would agree. That is definitely Ken saying I want a string and wire, and that's in fact the very first HF antenna I had, I brought home. What was his old Yaesu 757 or something like that,
Mm.
and I stuck some speaker wire in the back of it and pinned it up around the room, and I'm saying I worked Cuba on it. I was like,
Well, there you
okay,
go.
there you go. But just give me some wire, and I'm happy. But you're right, and now I've kind of sort of started to become the de facto at school or at work or where at the club meetings. We get a new ham, and they're like, "Well, what gear do I have to buy?" And I'm like, "Brother, you got to give me more than that. What what do you want to do?" So
Right.
there's a lot to it. So
Well, that's the video that I posted tomorrow night is what the heck is a long wire antenna? Because that's another one where new ham. So I asked about what kind of antenna should I get? And some guys like just put a wire in a tree, boy. And doesn't really give them much guidance. So
and
that's kind of
I distinctly remember that from when I was a new ham. Somebody did. In fact, they showed me their antenna, and they had a utility pole out 300 or 400 feet out in the yard, and they did. They had a wire coming from the top of the utility pole, and it's like, how long is it? He goes, I don't know. I just put it up there, and I'm like, okay, and now, I'm kind of on the end-fed half-wave bandwagon lately. So,
well, yeah. That I'm a huge NFET or random wire antenna fan. And there's a little bit of science that needs to go into that, right? Like I get that 50 years ago, before people knew about SWR, it wasn't such a big thing. And again, I'm not trying to be a hater or be negative or anything like that, but I just wish that hams with more experience took the time to share that with newer hams who are getting into the hobby.
yeah. So, yeah. So I put a wire in a tree. Now, how does that connect to my radio? Well, that's that's honestly that's a lot of the because people don't ever talk about that. It's like, oh, just throw a
Yeah.
wire up.
Well, people are like, well, I just take the end of the wire and just jam it in that coax center, and just get it in there real good, get it in there good. And that's not the right answer. Like, why anybody would give that as advice is beyond me.
Jim's asking, was it a live utility pole? Yes, it was. Let's not even discuss the fact. And in fact, it was coming. If I remember correctly, it was actually partway under for it mounted in line with the utility line. So I was like, that's less than safe right there. But that's just kind of the way they did it. I mean, and the thing is, somebody had to climb up that thing and screw it in that close to it. I'm like, you kind of an idiot, brother.
Well, you're going to get lit up, boy.
Which, I mean, it might be fun to watch, but so
It's amazing with the hold my beer crowd. Like, hold my beer while I climb this pole and run a wire up there.
Yeah, hey, Bubba, watch this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
My first antenna was a homemade dipole strung, and I'll tell a lot of people that's by far probably one of the easiest antennas you can build. A dipole antenna, it doesn't get a whole lot easier. Buy you a little chunk of coax and some wire, and
it's ridiculous.
Even then,
simple.
they need to understand how long each leg has to be and whatnot. But as far as a simple antenna to build, that's not a bad one.
It's intimidating though to folks, and that's where it's kind of like, I've built so many antennas that if somebody was asking me an antenna question, I'd be like, here's a 20-meter dipole that I built. Give it a try and see how it works for you. And then, we'll worry about what we're going to do next at a later date. I mean, I think obviously most folks would want to build their own just for the rewarding experience. But what chaps me is that when people just are so dismissive of helping somebody who obviously is asking a question like that because they need guidance. Yeah. That's one of the things that really doesn't sit well with me.
And Tio points out that ham radio is an intimidating hobby, and he's right. It's they come walking in, and even last night in the club, and nobody by any means was doing it intentionally, but they were talking on a whole different level than we had. 4 or 5 new hams in there. They're adults. They weren't my Padawans, and they were finally, one of them he's like, can y'all interpret that into language I can understand? And it's like,
yeah, and there's really a lot of good people out there and a lot of helpful people. What you have to be careful of is the ones that are critical. Their voice drowns out hundreds of positive voices, right? And that's what makes it intimidating.
So, and then it's a lot of it, like you said, is, oh man, this coffee's empty. Is not even it's not intentional at all. People don't realize it. So unless the person is comfortable enough to just say, I don't get it, those are people you're just never getting back. They'll be,
right,
I'm out. I don't get it. It's too tough. And that'll be one of those in 10 years, that license will expire, and that's the end of it. So,
well, like you were saying, like I'm a manual type person. So like, I don't want to be like, hey, read the manual, son. What I'll say is that looks like my internet's acting up. Yeah. This is what I read that was helpful, but let's talk through it is more the approach that I want to take there.
So, well, and I mean, it's like, well, in fact, the kiddo that got his license last night, he's like, okay, so how do I do this with this radio? And of course it's a Baofeng, so nothing makes sense as to what you're going to do.
Like, heck, son, I don't know.
And so I told him, I was like, all right, so you can use this class period to look at the owner's manual and see if you can translate that. And he goes, what do you mean translate it? It's like, you'll see in a minute, brother.
Yeah, that's written in a quasi foreign tongue.
So, but it gives them something to do. But yeah, there are times that you just need to read the manual. And a lot of people are like, well, the manual's for reference, and it can be, but to a new ham, especially like new ham with a brand new, nice, expensive radio, take a look at it. You don't want to let the magic smoke out when it's still brand new.
Yeah, when I got a Fang, that was my first radio, and well, actually, it's not. I had some scanners before then, and the scanner manuals are also very intimidating. There's a lot of language terminology, abbreviations, and things that you just don't know. But when I got the Fang, I remember looking at the manual and being like, what in the world? Like, I was like, I read manuals. I even did technical writing for a while for IT. And I'm like, I can't follow this at all. and that's when I went to the YouTubes to start to figure it out.
And yeah, and that's what they're talking about in there right now. Is that's kind of what I mean. Head out there and just Google it up and find it on the tubes because
Yeah, for sure. There's
it's
so many good content creators out there making quality content. It really is awesome.
and I will say, go ahead and watch more than one video before you take it as the gospel. Because,
No, for sure.
while by far most of the people making ham radio stuff are pretty solid folks and kind of know, every now and then you might get that quack job. And, that smoking ape guy might be telling you, oh, just shove the wire in the back. It'll be all right.
Right, right. I would always watch take a bit of precautions when you watch mine, um,
But,
but you do have some yahoos out there making some videos too that sometimes you're like, what in the world is this? The ones that you really need to be careful about are the ones where people are making like some of these homebrew battery things.
yeah, because that crap will blow up and stuff.
Right, explode on you and cause a fire. So like anything where you're messing with a lot of current and electronics and stuff like that, they're the ones that I would be the most concerned about.
And you don't want a battery exploding on you because it'll ruin your new complexion.
Right, well, it'll ruin everything. It'll ruin your day, ruin the carpet, ruin the complexion,
Ruin your wife's LED lights.
Yeah, yeah. So I would just like those are the ones where I'm always like, yeah, I don't know about this guy. So some of that stuff is you're not going to mess up your Balfang if you put your CTCSS code in backwards. You'll be all right. But the battery stuff is the one to watch out.
Appreciate that, Dan. 223, not my caliber of choice, but hey, to each their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you get those yahoos that'll like throw a lawn chair up on the roof and try to make it into an antenna, and yeah, some of them folk crazy now.
Yeah, there's some folk out there. I'll tell you that.
So
Now, like that stuff is really cool. I like watching the experimentation videos, especially around some of the antenna stuff. I find that to be pretty exciting stuff. But a lot of times you get some bad advice where somebody's telling you to buy something that is probably not worth buying. So that's where like product reviews are the ones you really have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
People will be like, this Baofeng UV9R is 120 watts, boy. That 120 watts will get you to freedom. And that's the stuff that you need to be like, it ain't 120 watts. You just really need to make sure that you get a second opinion.
Jim just threw up my caliber of choice there. That's it. So, but yeah, it's obviously I'm joking about the lawn chair thing, but I do think to be self-critical for a minute. We all did the Willet antenna and stuff like that, and we all kind of mess around. But at the same time, I probably ought to put a little friendly neighborhood warning in there.
You could smoke your radio.
Careful what you do. You might break something. So, I didn't really think about that beforehand. I was just hooking it up to anything I could find that was metal. But might should have said, don't try this with your radio. Borrow a friend's.
Well, that tuner's pretty good on that, or at least it says it's pretty good on there. I don't know if I worry about that much, but I have that PAX 100 amp, and some folks were like, "Are you going to hook that up to the 705?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah, well, you see, I've got that amp too, and I hadn't. They sent it to me saying, "Hey, will you do a review on this?" And you and I talked about how there were some issues with it,
right?
And I'm like, ooh, T.O. saying you can't break a G90, but I don't know that little amp, it might. And say it's not my G90. See, that's the problem. So,
right. Well, I didn't do a bunch of extended work on it with the G90. I was fine testing it out and seeing what it would do, but like I'm like, I'm not going to risk the 705 with the PX tuner. That's just not going to happen.
So what you do is you take it to field day, and you hook it up to somebody else's radio.
Right, be like, son, I got this amp for you. Well, you must have plugged it in wrong.
So, but yeah. So other than that, stupid's talking. But let's see what else we got going in here.
Why don't you talk about Thursday night ham radio coming up tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'm having to nurse the coffee along. Yeah, and I hadn't even had a chance to look at the lineup because there for a minute we had
there's nobody on there.
Yeah, some space in there. So I'm like, oh, I might have time to finish up a video and get it on Thursday night ham radio, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, booked. So hang on, give me a minute. I
I believe it starts out with Tio and the dude doing their FT8 off like they
Yeah, I'll
always
let you
do.
go ahead and read it because I don't even have the disc. I close everything on this thing because I don't want crap popping up and going on the screen and
So we have Ham Radio Dude and Tio doing the FT8 off on the dude's channel. And then there's a new fella, Radio Runner. And I believe he's an Aussie and he's one of these soda guys. And he's got a video coming up where he marches up an impressive summit. I'm not exactly sure which one it is. It's down in Australia. Then we have Christian N1CLC, California boy, if I remember correctly, and he is he's a soda fella too. Then Adam K6ARK, I believe, is doing a Winter Field Day wrap up video, followed by the Don Izzo and Smoke Signals RF. If you haven't checked out his channel, go do it. He is doing a Winter Field Day wrap up too, if I remember correctly. And then you
with
have
his fancy new tent. He was
right. And then you have the most electrifying ham in radio. The Smoking Ape was doing my wire antenna dissertation. Followed up by T.O., who is going to talk about slow scan TV, and then he's going to review 24 hours of images that were sent to him via slow scan TV. So I hope you have your PG-13 filter on.
So Gaston popped in. It took me a minute to connect who Gaston is for a minute. Then it's the tech
It's the
prepper.
tech prepper, right?
Yeah, but it took me a minute because I'm like, I know that name, but
Oh, I forgot. Josh is squeezing in a 6-minute video somewhere along the lines on a new antenna. I'm not sure which
yeah,
antenna it is.
I saw that in the Discord, but I've been kind of running around like a chicken with my head cut off lately. So
Well, the schedule for Thursday is a mess because everybody's video doesn't fit nicely into the time slots that we typically use. So expect a fun time, folks.
yep. So there might be some stepping on, and you might miss an ape dance or two, but
Yeah, but you'll be fine at the end of it. We'll laugh and cry together.
but now going back to Radio Runner, was it last week he had his first one that on Monday Night Ham Radio 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And I liked his video. It's pretty good.
Oh,
video.
fun. He's a fun guy. No doubt about it.
So if you've not, in fact, T.O. or one of y'all in here, grab his channel link and drop it down there because I imagine several of the folks in here maybe haven't been over to his place yet to hit that button because I enjoyed his video a good bit. So he's a funny dude, and he was like hanging a thing from a cliff. So I was like, I'm down with that.
Yeah, no, he looks like he does a good job. And then wherever he is down there, down under Crocodile Dundee land, he's got some beautiful scenery. So enjoyed the video last time, and I'm sure I'll enjoy the one tomorrow night.
I think he's in New Zealand, maybe. I think so. I remember thinking it looked an awful lot like Lord of the Rings right there.
Yeah, the old lady's going to be out tomorrow night, so I'm going to get me a large pepperoni pizza. Going to load up my little tote cooler with some Miller Lights and enjoy some Thursday night. Yeah, we're going to have some fun.
So I will not be at Thursday Night Ham Radio. We have our first archery match. I coach archery at school.
Yeah, I think
got our first archery match of the season, and we're going to take every one of those we can get because I'm worried that pretty soon they're going to say y'all are done getting that close to each other. So,
well, I wouldn't be surprised.
But it's last year those kiddos they lost their seeing. Last year we had a pretty good shot at winning state, and that was kind of a crappy way to shut down. So we're going to try to get every match in we can this year just so that they get their chance to shoot.
Yeah, one of the fellers, John the Bowler, one of my buddies, he bought like a really high end. He's a deer hunter. He likes to go hunting, and he's always done rifle and shotgun. So he bought a crossbow because he's like, this expands the season and all whatever. And so he got it. He's like, hey, come on over here and check out my crossbow. So I go over to check it out, and really nice. And he's loading it up, and he puts the bolt in and everything, and he's getting it up, and arrow just takes off in the neighborhood. And we watch it. It goes soaring over the houses on the other side of the street over, and you see it arch down.
You're like, nothing to see here.
Right. We're like, we probably ought to go look for that. And we did. We couldn't find it anywhere. So it's probably sticking out of somebody's roof.
I don't know nothing. Jim Greer is heading out a couple minutes early. He's got to head to Thailand on the Zoom call. So
Well, have a good time over there, Jim.
Thailand can be rough. Be glad it's on a Zoom.
We'll be praying for you. I got a good story about Thailand, but I can't tell it. I
Oh,
can't
I
tell
thought
it
we were
on
about to hear it, but I was like,
No, you're
no,
not going to hear it right now.
it'll hit that little demonetization thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, Red says it crossbow's a mess. Yep, I had a crossbow for a hot minute, and I mean it was fun. I just got bored with it real fast. It wasn't a real expensive one though.
This was nice. I mean, it had a rifle stock on it, and it had a scope, and I think he paid like $1,100 for it. It was pretty nice, and
He's short one bolt now.
he is.
So there's probably some dead cat in a tree or something like that, and
Who knows? Could have been anything,
but
you know,
yep. Tank's like, let's hear
Tank
it, man.
not telling it. Not
Tell you
telling
what,
it.
Tank, your channel's not monetized yet, so maybe you can
I'll
have
tell
a
it.
stream.
I'll tell it in Discord. Sorry, everybody else. Maybe you have to catch up with me at Dayton one of these years, and I'll tell you. I'll tell you then.
But yep. So all right. So tonight, Tio, I know you dropped it earlier. If you would throw down that link to Josh's channel, Ham Nations tonight.
Well, everybody says it. We never get it right.
No, we're right. They follow us. I'm pretty sure.
All right.
So if not, then head over there and give them some hate. But I'm pretty sure we're right. I think
All right.
maybe. Yeah, I think we're right because last week the replacements took my spot and the Ham Nation wasn't there. So
Yeah, I think you might be correct.
so yep. So if drop that link down there and
Well, Clark.
the person who got to see the arrows. You just better hope he's not a Smoking Ape fan. This guy, I wonder who that was. But you didn't shoot it. It was your buddy, Clark.
Right. If the cop showed up,
I
I'd have been like, "Hey, fingerprint that thing, man. It ain't on me."
So made tennis ball cannons. See, now that would be fun. Tennis
Yeah,
ball
the flaming
cannons.
tennis balls that was a lot of fun back in the day.
But anywho, so yeah, I reckon that's about it. Unless you got anything else. Like I said, I'm gonna throw out another thank you for. I get to start handing out those fangs and stuff next week. Handed the first one out yesterday. If you're running late, so
Yeah,
I
no,
got
I'm good. Thanks to everybody for watching. Looks like we have a pretty good group in the chat. That's always fun. And thanks for having me, man.
thank you, and y'all don't forget click that link and head over to Josh's channel for Ham Nation, and